Hey there, Dr. Christianson here, and I'd love for you to get a good night's sleep. And if you're not, here's the big guns. So everyone can sleep. Everyone's capable of sleeping. I've got to put a shout out to my real good friend, Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor. He told me that no one has a broken sleeper. So people can sleep. But many people, it's possible for them to sleep, but many are unable to sleep. It seems that they cannot. And it may take them forever to fall asleep. They may wake up throughout the night. They may not get quality sleep and wake up unrefreshed. But this is a huge problem. And this can be behind the majority of vehicle accidents. This can be a big contributor to weight gain. It's probably tied a lot to brain aging and mental clarity and chronic disease risk. So sleep is essential. And many people are on sleep medications, and they've honestly gotten hooked on them to where they're still not sleeping great with the medicine, but if they stop it, they're just worse than ever, and they're getting no sleep at all. So if you're someone to where simple lifestyle sleep hygiene fixes your sleep, awesome. Do it, stick with it, please, it's important. But for those of you out there to where the sleep has just not come around, this is the cool thing, this is powerful. And I want to set up how this works. So when you go to sleep is a factor of two conditions. One of which we talk about in terms of a sleep rhythm. Your body expects sleep at certain times. The other one is a phenomenon called sleep pressure. Your body expects sleep at certain frequencies. Now here's what I mean by that distinction. Let's think about like food, for example. It's around noon, I start getting hungry. Actually, I get hungry more like 11:30, but I'm used to eating around then, so I get hungry at that time. Now, if I have not eaten for a whole day, I can still be ravenous at 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning, a time that I normally wouldn't be hungry. So there's wanting to sleep at set predictable times, but also there's this pressure to where if you're up for days, you're finally going to crash, and you'll crash hard. So this wake therapy builds upon that concept, and you intentionally build up and store your sleep pressure, and then you use that in a controlled way to get your sleep timing back and your sleep duration back to where you're getting longer amounts of restful sleep. So the drawback about it is that for a couple of days, you're sleeping at really weird times. And you're also skipping sleep for the first full day. So that's tough. And it's awkward scheduling life. And I totally want to acknowledge that. It's not easy. But find a long weekend or some time like that where you could be away from a lot of affairs and responsibilities. And I've seen so many people, I can think about a gal who was getting maybe 3 hours of sleep on 2 sleep medications. And if she missed a dose of them, she got maybe an hour or so, like almost none. And she was a wreck from that. And she would say just the same thing. She would talk about how her short-term memory was gone. She was always anxious. She had just no energy, fibromyalgia pain that was terrible. And I told her, I said, and she first came in and wanted to know what was a natural sleep aid she could use instead of her Ambien and her Xanax. And I told her, I said, look, there is none. There are no natural things that will do what those medications do better, safer. They don't exist. When you knock yourself out like with those medications, that's causing harm. And if you did the same thing by something natural, it would still cause harm. The question is not what is the natural pill that will do what those do. The question is how do we get your body working better again? And in her case, I guided her through the wake therapy. And in those situations, reducing medications, you also have guidance for changing a medication, but there are many instances to where you taper a medicine, like an antidepressant or a pill for pain. But in this case, with your doctor's awareness, you do not taper. You actually stop the sleep medicine abruptly that first night. That's part of the whole thing. So here's how this works out. Let's take a scenario to where someone sleeps 4 hours a night. That's the first question is, okay, no matter how bad things are, you're sleeping something, you're sleeping some. And how much is that? We want to know that for our baseline purposes. And let's say that sleep is a wreck, I get 4 hours a night tops and that's it. And then I'm just lying awake, tossing and turning. Cool, so 4 is our starting number. The next question is, let's say you've got a magic wand and you can set your sleep timing anywhere you want. So your wake up time is whenever you want it to be. Given your life, your habits, your school, your work, your family's needs, when is your best wake up time? And something to think about, whatever your latest wake up time is in the week, that's when your body's expecting to wake up. So one big pitfall about sleep is sleeping in on the weekends. If you sleep a few hours later on the weekends, that's your wake-up time all week. So think about how you feel when you're jet lagged and you're at an earlier time zone to where you got to wake up hours before you're used to. That's what you're doing to yourself all your weekdays if you sleep in on the weekend, because that high water mark of that weekend, that's when your body's ready to wake up, never before. It's always the high water mark for the sleep schedule. So choose a time in which on your earliest day, that's when you need to wake up, your earliest day of a typical week. That's your chosen wake time. So for purposes of our discussion, let's say in this scenario, this is Bob, and Bob, poor guy, only gets 4 hours of sleep a night. And in a perfect world, Bob would wake up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed at 6 o'clock in the morning. So let's use this scenario. And let's also start this. This is going to be a Monday. So here we are in the office. We're talking to Bob. Bob only sleeps 4 hours. Bob wants to get up at 6. Bob is on Ambien, 10 milligrams. He wishes he could stop it, but he can't. How do we start out? And it's Monday morning. So here's that process. So Monday night, and let me make an assumption that Bob's got a light next couple of days. So assuming all that, Monday night, no sleep for Bob, 0 sleep at all. Bob stays up all night Monday night. Now, in the trials, it's bizarre. It doesn't matter what Bob does to stay awake. You know, he can be exposed to light. He can even use caffeine, believe it or not. None of it matters. But Bob's got to stay awake Monday night. Okay, so now Tuesday rolls around. This is now Tuesday morning. We're going into Tuesday day. No napping on Tuesday for Bob. Bob's got to stay up. So Bob's wake time is 6. His current sleep is 4 hours. So we're going to take those 4 hours and we're going to do those to where his wake time is 6. So that's 2 in the morning. So Bob skipped Monday night sleep. Bob's going to go to bed 2 o'clock in the morning, actually Wednesday morning, late Tuesday night, and Bob's going to wake up at 6. So there's a few bright lines in this concept. One bright line is he's not sleeping from that Sunday night before starting this until early Wednesday morning, late Tuesday night. Not sleeping on Monday at all. No questions asked. The other bright line is at 6 o'clock in the morning, Bob's going to wake up. And if that means multiple alarm clocks, that means like a bucket of ice water in the face, whatever it means, Bob's got to get up at 6 for this to work, okay? So by 2 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, late Tuesday night, Bob's tired. I promise Bob is really tired because he got no sleep on Monday and he's going to crash. He's going to crash hard. And even though he normally only gets 4 hours of sleep, he's not taken his Ambien. He didn't take it Tuesday night and he didn't take it Monday night. He's missed it. And when that 6 o'clock alarm clock rolls around, he's not going to be ready to get up, but he has to. So he's got to wake up at 6. So now this is Wednesday morning. He's up at 6. So now Wednesday night, Bob can go to sleep 15 minutes earlier. So rather than 2 o'clock, it's 1:45. We can tag on 15 minutes onto this. He cannot go to sleep before 1:45, and he cannot stay asleep after 6. No questions asked. I would also add in light therapy starting on this second morning. So 6 o'clock, we're now at Thursday morning. Bob's waking up, and that first hour of being awake, he's going to get sunlight or he's going to get a dedicated high output 10,000 lux light box for half an hour within the first hour of being awake. That's going to reset the rhythm also now. So now we're on to Thursday morning. He got to have 4 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. And guess what? He got it. It was deep, it was hard, it was refreshing with no medications at all. The next night, we're going to tag on 15 more minutes. And we're going to keep on going. Pretty much the worst case scenario is that Bob would tag on at least about 2.5 hours onto his sleep. More commonly, he'll tag on from 4 hours all the way to 7.5 or 8 without medication, changed on a dime. And this is based upon many, many large clinical studies of this process. So again, this is the big guns. This is wake therapy. Very effective. I've seen this work for people. I've also seen it not work only when people didn't follow the bright lines. And I want to acknowledge it's not easy. Staying up that first night may not be simple. Not napping other times, waking up when you're supposed to, not always easy. But when people do that, I see it work so well. So if you or your loved one's sleep is just a wreck, This could seem like a tough measure, but it could be life-changing. And seriously, once you've gotten through that, you're done. You've got a good sleep rhythm. You're falling asleep when you want. You're waking up when you want. You don't need medications that rot your brain to do it. Life is good. Dr. Christianson here with you. Take great care. We'll talk again really soon. Bye-bye.